I know that we are not that different from the children of Israel. You think, right? Right. People. And so sometimes we also do things and bring things in that is going to clutter our peace. We're going to see a video in a moment, short clip. There's no audio to it, so don't panic if you don't hear a sound. But this really, I want to just set it up for you for a moment here. This really is just trying to show us what was happening. It's like they were trying to fill up their bucket of life, and the bucket here represents life. Let's go ahead and show it. But there was a problem because the bucket was filled with holes. There's a hole in the bucket. Your first fill-in this morning is what is causing the hole in your bucket. We're going to have a little bit of fun this morning. I'm hoping to get a message across that you're going to go home with and think about, and it's going to bring strength and just good conversation between you and the Lord this week, but I want to have a little fun in here as well. How many of you know it's okay to have fun at church? Yep. So from time to time during my message today, there's going to be another clip that's going to go up. It's going to look a little bit like that. It's going to be a clip of the bucket with the holes. And your part, this is your line, people. This is your place. You get to yell at me. There's a hole in the bucket. Can we try it? Come on. There's a hole in the bucket. All right. So when we think about ourselves and we think about this fact that there may be something in our own life that is causing a hole in our bucket of life, for the Israelites, it had become a way of life. They had began to expect that the Midianites were going to come into their villages and to wreak havoc because it had happened over and over and over and over and over and over again. For 7 long years, this had been happening. It was becoming their norm. It was becoming their ordinary. And this is the place we find ourselves today when Gideon is hidden away. He thinks he's hiding. He thinks he's in isolation. And he's doing his job. But then the angel of the Lord appears to him. We have Gideon. He's not working in plain sight. He's in a cave. He actually, when you research this, it's not just a cave that is easy to be seen, but it was in a grove of trees. For the opening of this cave, you would have to go into the grove of trees to find the opening to this cave. So he really has fiercely tried to find a place where he can be in hiding. And so there is where the angel of the Lord finds him. He hopes he's in secret, but yet the angel of the Lord appears to him. He's trying to hide from the enemy. And I believe, like Gideon, I know this to be true firsthand. I've experienced it, that God always knows where I am. He always knows where you are. He sees us. He sees me. He sees you. And that truth should bring us great joy today. Your second fill-in this morning is God knows my hiding place, and he shows up. We find in this verse that the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Mighty hero, the Lord is with you." I can just imagine what's going through Gideon's mind. He's scared for his life. He's hiding in a cave, trying to do what he needs to do and be unnoticed and unseen. And yet someone comes and addresses him with a term that he does not think identifies him at all. Mighty hero? I think he's thinking, excuse me, is there somebody else in here and I wasn't aware of it? Are you talking to somebody behind me? You're calling me mighty hero? And Gideon replies to the angel of the Lord, and he says, "Sir, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? We've heard about what God did, how he delivered our families and our ancestors from Egypt. He brought them out of slavery. But now the Lord has abandoned us, and he has handed us over to the Midianites." I think that's a pretty strong word, the word abandoned. I'm sure that the people, the children of Israel, were thinking, God, you are so far gone. You have left us. Why has this happened? Another question that we often ask is, why did God allow this to happen? I've been there, asking that question in my own life story. Another question that we might often ask, that I think they were probably asking, was why didn't God change the course of what has happened? Anybody? we wonder. This is what they began to believe was true. God, why did you allow it? Why didn't you change it? They began to blame God. But what we know is this truth, that God had not abandoned them. But through their choices, they had pushed God and his ideas for a rich and satisfying life, a fulfilling life, a life of peace. They had pushed him so far out of reach, they were no longer experiencing his peace. They were no longer experiencing his protection. They were no longer experiencing his provision. Now, they continued to do what they were always doing. They continued to plant crops. They continued to raise livestock. But, as you'll see on the screen again, what is it? There's a hole in the bucket. You see, the things they were striving to gain, to cause them to be sustained, they were being stripped away. And in this story, after 7 years, they just begin to expect, this is my lot in life. Ever been there? Ever find yourself in a situation, a scenario where you think, is this how it's always going to be? What did I do to get here? God, are you going to do something to help me get out? This is what they were expecting. And that is why Gideon was hiding. But what we now know is that this crisis, this place that they were in, did not place Gideon. It did not place the Israelites out of God's reach. And the crisis that you may be walking through today, the crisis I may find myself in, does not place me out of God's reach either. So it's so good to know that you and I, are not out of God's reach. That should be good news for each and every one of us in this place this morning. We are not out of God's reach, no matter what is going on in our life. You see, the children of Israel, they had done things with intention. They didn't realize they were destroying God's peace, but it was their actions. But what I want us to hear this morning, God still knew where they were, and he still chose to show up. He still chose to bring about a plan of deliverance. Wherever you are, whatever you've done, however far you have gone, God knows where you are. He sees you, and he's working on a plan to deliver you right here, right now, in this day. He wants you to understand his peace. He wants you to live in his provision. Don't feel like you are stuck. We don't have to live stuck. The Spirit of the living God is working on our behalf.